Hi everyone. So today I'm going to take you through mail merge, which is something that a lot of people will find very useful but often don't know how to do. So it's a lot simpler than you think, it's a lot less scary, so let me take you through the steps that you need. This will also help you complete the mail merge aspect of the Functional Skills Level 2 exam as well. So follow on board and check out how to do this. So as you can see, I've got a Word document open already because we always do mail merges in Microsoft Word. There is a built-in function to do this, and it will potentially save you loads and loads of time. So for those of you that don't know what a mail merge is, it's basically, rather than writing, say, 120 individual letters that you would have to individually format and insert the data in, you can write one letter as a template, and then you could tell it, if you've got a table of data, which we've got and will be given in the exam, you can import all that in there and print it off. So all you have to really do then is write one letter and do an import, and save you having to do 120 individually. So it will import all the data and put it in the right place, as long as you set it up correctly. So I'm going to show you how to set that up correctly using Microsoft Word and using the Mail Wizard, which is a perfectly legitimate way to do this. So as you can see on the screen here, I have the basis of a letter that I've started to write. So I've put dear, there's a space in there and a comma, which you'll see why shortly. There's a little small body of text just to say they're writing to inform this person that the record suggests what their favourite colour is, and could they please confirm, and then a general sign off as well for the end of the letter. So say basic letter format, but what we're going to do is we're going to set it up so it's ready for mail merge, so we can insert all the different names and send it out to people in a bulk batch rather than having to say do them individually. So what we've got here is our Microsoft Word template that we've created, and we're going to go to mailings at the top. So I've got the mailings option over there. Normally you'll be open on home, so if you go to mailings, and you can see down the side here there's an option for start mail merge. So I want you to select that, and from there, rather than selecting letters, email messages, or the type that we're going to do, we're going to go a step-by-step wizard. As I said, this is a perfectly legitimate way to do it. There's no problem with doing it with the wizard, and it just saves you a bit of time and having to set things up manually. So click on step-by-step wizard, and along the right hand side here you'll see a dialog box is open. So first thing it's going to ask you is what kind of document are you going to be working on. So you've got a choice of letters, emails, envelopes, labels and directories. Emails you wouldn't normally use very often, because generally speaking you can use CC, BCC type of options in a email format, but say it is possible to do it that way as well. A lot of people will generally create letters and then attach them to emails to save posting, so that's an option as well. There's also a choice for envelopes, labels and directory. Don't worry about the directory one, that's nothing that we're going to be needing to do for the moment. The main ones are letters and labels, and I'll show you the letters process, and then once we're done at the end I'll go back quickly and show you labels, just to show you a subtle difference in between the two. Essentially it's the same thing that you do, but there are a couple of minor differences in between the two. So we're going to go with letters, so select letters, and then we click down here which says next starting document, so click on that. It'll move us on to the next step. It will ask you if you already want to start from an existing document or a template, or to use the current document. We can use the current document because I've set this up ready to go. If you are provided a template, you can always insert that. I'd be very surprised if they do in the exam though. Generally speaking, you're going to be looking at having to create the document from scratch, or use the guidelines and guidance that they provide you. So let's use the current document, and we can now go on to select recipients. Now this is one of the really important parts of mail merge. This is where what we're going to do is, in the background we're going to load in the list of all the people and their addresses that we want. So you have the option here for use an existing list, select from Outlook contacts, or type a new list. So you can manually type that list in if you have it. Often, generally speaking, what you're going to have is more a kind of Excel spreadsheet or data table with all of your names and addresses that you need in already. So this is something that your department might already have in terms of a mailing list. So let's go to using existing list, and if we select the option here which is browse, we now need to just find. So I've got a file here called import mail merge. You should receive something similar when you do the exam. So I'm going to load that, and what you'll see when I click here is it finds all the data and it starts putting it into columns. So it's taken all this information from the spreadsheet. So as you can see here, we've got the name, we've got their address, we've got their postcode, and we've got their favourite colour, so all the information that we need. At this point, we can choose who we want to send it to. So, for example, if we decided that we didn't want to send it to anybody that lives beyond number 4, Dave Street, we could just unclick 5, 6 and 7. That would mean that that information will not be loaded into the database, so that person will not receive the letter. Alternatively, if you want to be more specific than that, or you've got a very big list, this is a fairly short one, just 7 addresses, but if you had a list of say 300 addresses and you didn't want to have to go through each one manually, you can do a sort and you can do a filter. So you, for example, could filter out if you wanted favourite colour, maybe you only want to send it to, let's say, equal to, and then maybe red, for example. That will just now show the person who matches that criteria, so favourite colour of red. That if you move and proceed on with that, you will literally just send a letter to one person on this occasion. If you have multiple people, of course, with red in the list, it would just send it to everybody in the list that had red as their favourite colour. For the moment, though, we don't want to do that, so I'm going to remove that from there to get our list back. So that's everything. As you can see, they've all got different favourite colours anyway. But it may be that you say you need that sort of thing in future, so there's how you do that at this stage. It saves a lot of time as well having to go into the letters later and then decide which ones you don't want to send it manually. Okay, so now we've got that loaded in. Make sure it looks like it should do. The names are under the name, the addresses are under the addresses, and the postcodes are under the postcodes, and the favourite colour is under the favourite colour. So that's as we want it. Click on OK, and it would appear like nothing happens, but what actually has happened is the data's loaded into the background, and as you can see here, there's just a little path. So it currently says currently your recipients are selected from the following locations. So that lets you know that people are loaded into the list in the background. Okay, so now if we're happy with that, it will go on to the next stage, which is write letter. Now this is a stage I've already, as you can see, started to write the basis of a letter. But what we want to do now is the most important part of the mail merge, really, which is inserting where we want the data to go. So, of course, each letter is going to start with Dear and somebody's name. It's going to have their address on the top on the right-hand side, as a letter should do, and it's going to have an individual favourite colour. So rather than having to build all these letters separately, what we do is we create sort of placeholders for the information. So let's start off by putting the address in. I'm going to click above the Dear text there. Go to Home menu, go to Paragraph, and I'm going to align things to the right. So now you can see the cursor here has moved all the way over to the right hand side of the screen. And what that's going to let me do now is pop in the person's address that we want. So looking down the side here in our menu, we've got address block, greeting line, electronic postage and more items. Click on more items. And what that will do is that will show you everything that's from your database, so the fields, so whether it's name, address, postcode or favourite colour. Now we want to insert this person's address into there, so if you go insert address, select that and click insert, you'll see there it's popped up saying address and put it in 2 little arrows. That means it's a little block, it's what you call an unmerged field, so it's where the data is going to populate later on when we tell it to. If we're happy with that, we can press close, but we also want their postcode, so I'm going to press enter once, go down a line, go back to more items, and I'm going to insert postcode as well. Okay. So when you see these fields, if you click on them, they will just highlight as a block. So you can't actually change the wording. You couldn't change it to, say, address with two 3Ds or postcode by missing the T. It won't let you do it. It identifies this as a block because, as far as it's concerned, that's not a piece of text. That's just a unmerged field. So it's a placeholder for where your text is going to go. So we're going to have our address appear there. We're going to have our postcode appear there. Near where we have the word Dear, we're going to want to insert their name. So let's give it some space in between. Go to more items again and pop name. So as you can see, we clicked on that. You can double click it or you can press insert. Close that, and now we've got Dear name. And we'll do the same thing for where it says your favourite colour. So I'm writing for me the record suggests your favourite colour is, back to more items, and let's insert favourite colour into there. Okay, so now we have our unmerged letter. So everything's set up where each individual letter is going to have an address on it, a postcode on it, their person's name, and the list of their favourite colour as well. At this stage, it will probably ask you to do a screenshot. So using the appropriate key presses, you can do a screenshot, or you can use the snipping tool just to grab that. That's mainly to show the examiners when you upload it that you have created a proper mail merge, because what they will ask for is screenshots of the individual documents, because if you sent a mail merge file and moved it off the computer, they wouldn't be able to see it properly. The formatting would go wrong. So what they ask for is a screenshot just to show that you know how to set up unmerged fields properly, rather than manually creating, say, 10 letters and then saying that you've done a mail merge. Okay, so that's all set up. Do your screenshot and save that in an appropriate folder for uploading in a moment. Okay, and now we've got everything loaded in, I've got letters set up, we can go to the next step, which is preview your letters. So click on that, and what you'll see all of a sudden is that a address, a postcode, name and favourite colour have all been populated into this one letter. So number 1 Dave Street, the postcode Mr Dave, and colour is red, so just remember that information. And what it's done though is it's done that for all of the letters. So if you look here where it says preview your letters, there's a thing that says recipient 1. You can click on this arrow and now you'll see this is number 2 Dave Street, Mrs Dave and blue. Number 3 Dave Street, Sir Dave and green. 4 Dave Street, Lady Dave and pink, and so on and so on. So that will take you, if you click on that, that'll take you through all of the letters. So there's 7 fields, and so there's 7 letters. Okay, if you go on, you can manually change something. So for example, say that number five, you also need to ask an additional question. You can manually type it in, and it will just be individual to that letter. It won't. Just remember that though. So if you decide you want to go to number recipient 1, and you realise you've missed some information off, you can't just put it into letter 1. You have to put it into all 7 letters or all 300 letters. If it's a large amount, I'd probably recommend running the mail merge again if you've forgotten to put something in. Okay, it also gives you the chance to, at this stage, to edit the recipient list. So if you decide that you don't want anybody on that list, you can remove them, and you can do your sort and filter there. Okay, so once you've got that, you click on complete the merge, and then that will ask you whether you want to print it. So normally a mail merge, if you're doing it, you're probably going to be sending it to a physical printer. Of course, we're not going to do that for the moment, and for the exam you won't need to do that either. So it will just ask you a screenshot of each of those individual letters to show that you've done it. Or you may be able to print it and print it virtually, so print it into a PDF file or something like that as well, just so you've got something there for your reference. Okay, and that is pretty much everything that you need to do in terms of merging and putting together a letter. So that's all your steps, and that is your mail merge ready. Okay, so the other thing I said I was going to show you was just the differences between this and labels. So if we just go back to mailings at the top, start mail merge, we'll do the wizard again. I'm going to go back to the starting document. This time I'm going to select labels, okay? I'll try and stick with a similar document, although we may have to make a few tweaks with it being labels, but the recipient list and everything will be the same. So now at this point, when we're selecting it, it will ask us what type of labels that we want. So as you can see here, we've got half letters, quarter letters, 30 per page, A3. So it all depends on what you're printing onto. We'll go for 30 per page because that will give you lots of small labels, as though you're printing multiple labels onto one sheet. And so what it's done there is it's told me I've had to remove the data, so I've removed the data out of it. But what we can do here is we can insert, just like we did go to more items, we could insert the person's name, address, postcode. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to press enter to space them a little bit. And what you can't see here necessarily is actually these are, if you press your tab key, so it's your key just 2 down from your escape, that will take you into each individual label. So if I press that, copy it, and you can see that each one of these will be an individual label on a sheet. Okay, so you have to imagine them like little tiny blocks like that. Okay, so exactly the same premise though. The name, address and the postcode fields have all been put in there for the labels. Assuming that we're happy with that, we can preview them. And as you'll see, it does the same thing, so it puts all the information in there. So it works in exactly the same way as a letter. It's just a case of, rather than having that letter format and all the text in it, you may just have the fields that you want in the information to insert in there. So I hope this has been of help, and thank you very much.